Good evening. I am Nyla Alcocer, a proud FIU student studying sustainability in the environment here at FIU in Washington, D.C. As a Hamilton Scholar, I am learning more about FIU's research strengths and helping the university advocate as I myself intern on Capitol Hill. We're excited to welcome you here for a very exciting program celebrating FIU's hometown, Miami, Florida. As we hear from our guests tonight, let us all think about what Miami means to each of us. For myself, that would be vibrant, diverse, and yes, of course, sunny. This afternoon, let us also consider how we can all collaborate to help impact Miami, from here in the nation's capital. To get us started, let me introduce FIU's Carlo Becerra.
Thank you, Nyla. Is Miami in the house tonight? It seems like although it's a little chilly inside, we're going to keep it warm in here. I see many new faces, so welcome to FIU in Washington, D.C. on behalf of Miami's Public Research University. Welcome to your home away from home. Those of you that are visiting today, please, as the reception continues after we welcome our delegation in a bit, we encourage you to interact with our virtual displays, our cubbies, so you can learn a little bit about our MO here in the nation's capital, but we see this as a very collaborative venture. We're so glad that so many friends are here joining us. We are here to celebrate and champion our FIU research. We are here to propel our future talent and our students and that of our faculty, and you may meet some tonight. But we're also here to convene friends and bring a strong dosage of Miami to the nation's capital. Today, in a very fun way, we want to talk about our fair city, the Magic City, and what makes it hot, where it's going, where we are engaged, and what we're doing here in the nation's capital. And hopefully I'll also address how we can keep that connection between the 305 and the 202 alive. Quick intros as soon as they arrive. We're excited to have some of our university leadership. I don't see them here this moment, but I will make sure to point them out. Is Matt Monica in the audience yet? There you go, Matt Monica. We want to welcome him. He's with the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce, one of our strong partners. And I also see Kristen Bodenstadt with Bacardi, one of our great sponsors here today. To get us started, though, I want to introduce our lead sponsor from many years back, our partners at the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau. Were big fans of what FIU was doing in a bold way, going back to our previous facility and especially this one. We look forward to partnering much longer term on what we do here. They have interest in the nation's capital because we all sell Miami, we all promote Miami. But FIU is also about our talent, and we're also pleased that our lead sponsor tonight, and Rolando Aedo, the Chief Operating Officer of the Bureau, is a proud FIU alum, and that makes it even more special to have him here today. So we want to welcome Rolando to the...
I really don't need a mic, but I know this is being web streaming. My wife tells me my voice carries, but I'll try to keep it manageable. But I am from Miami. I have proud Latin roots, so I speak loud and I speak with hands. So bear with me. But yeah, one of the things that I'm most proud of is in fact being an FIU alum. My wife's an alum, so we're all in. Panther Nation, go there. And yes, the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau is that official sales and marketing organization for Greater Miami, Miami-Dade County, tourism, meetings, conventions, global events. A lot of folks don't even know we exist, but we're that little engine behind a lot of the amazing, magical things that are happening in Miami. But what really makes Miami magic, and it's, by the way, it's not our beaches, it's not even our weather, even though it was probably 80 degrees there, and I arrived today, and this is all I'm wearing, by the way.
Not nice.
But what makes Miami magic, which was a phrase that was coined in the 1920s, and it was about real estate, because tourists would come from one winter to the other, and all these buildings were booming. So, oh, Miami's like this magic city that's just creating all these buildings. But that's the old magic. The new magic is really about our people, our places, our experiences. And the reality is that that's what we're in the business of telling the story about Miami within that context. The great news is that FIU is all about people, places, and experiences, training our people, our workforce, the places, the investments that they're making in amazing cultural institutions, and I know you're going to hear about some of those in a moment, and of course the experiences, and one of my favorite is the South Beach Wine and Food Festival, which is an FIU property. So as we go along this path together, we are so proud to partner not only on this event, but on the story of Miami and the story that FIU is crafting and elevating the Miami destination. It's a proud place. I've been there practically my whole life, even though I was born not too far from here in Norfolk, Virginia. But I've been in Miami since I was about 3 years old. It is my home. I know it's Carlos, it's your home, even though you live in DC. But please, please consider it your home as well. Mi casa es tu casa. Thank you so much. Oh, yeah. And of course, the obligatory video. So I think there's a little video there that, for those of you that don't have the benefit of getting down there too often.
Rolando Aedo from the Bureau is going to join us on this panel. Diane Vidoni, Chief Operating Officer, Converge Americas. Maria Ortiz Perez of the Aspen Institute Energy Program and one of the leading forces behind Aspen Climate Ideas Festival. My colleague, Michael Cheng, the and a great Miamian, great to have here today, rising to new national prominence, Jorge Samanillo, the founding director of the National Museum of the Americas. So I will add, okay, this is our production crew, Eric Feldman. I will introduce him later.
All right. I will add that we have QR codes throughout, and at the front entrance, 3 of our panelists are kind enough to offer we're going to be raffling off some two great tickets to Emerge Americas, 2 tickets to our Grand Tasting Village at the South Beach Wine and Food Festival, 2 tickets for Miami Spice, thanks to the Bureau, and Jorge Samanillo promises us that as soon as we help him raise $250 million, he will give us 2 tickets to raffle off somewhere.
250, 500.
Okay, 500 million. Actually, we're going to start with George because it's an honor to have you here once again. And obviously, we know you had a previous era. You are a Miamian. You were at History Miami for so many years. No pressure. I want to start a little bit of history before we go to the future. The arc of Miami, from your vantage point, where have we come from? Where are we at today?
Wow, loaded question. First of all, thank you all for having me, and thank you, Carlos. You know, we got to ask that a lot. When I was in Miami with History Miami Museum, it's like, you know, Miami's such a young city. It's can't compare to some of the larger cities in the world. It doesn't have any history, and it was always kind of insulting after you study history for 20, 30 years. Yeah, it was founded in 1896, but here's an area, a region, where people had lived for 10,000 years, going back to prehistoric times. And it's because of the same reason that we all go to Miami today, right? You know, who doesn't want to live in that area? And people have migrated there for thousands of years, from prehistoric times all the way to, you know, Bahamian settlers and early pioneers and Native Americans that lived there for over 5,000 years. In historic times, you know, they kept on migrating down South Florida because of the region, the water, the accessibility, the temperature, the climate, you know, all these things that lend itself to, you know, what a great place to live. And it's incredible. You know, I used to be an archaeologist for 10 years, and I worked all over Florida. And the best places to find archaeological sites and prehistoric sites were along the water, along the ridge, you know, in the Everglades, in certain areas, certain campsites, because they had good food, they had seafood. You know, you could hunt, you could fish, all things that we still look for today, right, to make a living. So wherever they build high rises in South Florida, wherever they build condos, is usually where there were archaeological sites, because that's where the history was. That's where people wanted to live, along the river, along Biscayne Bay, all the way down the coast, up and down the coast of Florida. So it goes back so many years. But what really stands out in Florida, it's the ability in South Florida to reinvent themselves, right? For Miami to, you know, we suffered the same ups and downs of the rest of the nation, economic downturns, market crashes, very big market crashes in the 20s in South Florida, Miami, hurricanes, you know, all these different disasters, but the ability to bounce back, the resiliency to bounce back over and over and reinvent itself, it's amazing. You know, I moved there from New York when I was very young in the 70s. And just living through the late 70s, early 80s in Miami is an experience in itself, right? You make it to the cover of Time magazine as, you know, as Paradise Lost. Yep. You know, what a horrible place to live. And guess what? Even more people moved to Miami. you had probably the wrong image of Miami in Scarface, and then you had Miami Vice. But that attracted millions of more people to get to Miami. You went through race riots, we went through immigration crises, you know, Haitian refugees, Cuban refugees, and all that made Miami stronger and stronger. And it is what it is today because of all those trials and tribulations, right? So it's amazing how we've come along.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
Let me jump to your current role and your current charge. And I know it's not an overnight task, but it involves a lot of vision and drive and sweat. Talk to us about where we're at today with the Latino Museum, what needs to happen,
Sure.
and where can Miami play a role in that?
Yeah, quick summary. So, you know, I got hired about a year ago, less than a year ago, to be the founding director of the National Museum of the American Latino. And this has been in the works for over 30 years, to have a Latino presence in D.C. and a National Museum. And that work led to certain initiatives and programs throughout Smithsonian museums. But now we finally had the legislation passed in December 2020 to make it a reality. And they were tasked with hire a director. And the next task is to secure a location, a site. We're working on that now. And then raise, you know, probably about $500 million. It's going to be about $1 billion project. There's two museums, Latino Museum and the Women's History Museum. So half of the money comes from appropriations, and the other half is from private fundraising. So we're getting there. We raised about $40 million already in this past year to get to that goal, and we're start doing programming. We're going to start doing town hall meetings and listening circles throughout the nation to gather information, what people want to see there. We're tasked to build a museum that's equally representative of all people across the nation, which is really important. And then we start doing design and architecture, collecting artifacts and objects and different things we want to see in the museum. So it's a lot of work. So it's going to take about 10 or 12 years to get there. The last museum that was built, the African American Museum, Culture and History Museum, took about 13. So, you know, we got a little bit of a head start. We're almost there. But, you know, this is a great opportunity. I was in Miami last week for a couple of days, start talking to people, you know, well, can we have a town hall meeting here in March and April? Can we listen to your input, get your input from different communities, see what you want to see in a museum of the national level, and at the same time maintain that community-based feeling, because that's what my background is, working in a community-based museum. How can we do that at the national level where we don't feel, other people don't feel left out, you know, of the story? So they want to see their story, they want to see representation in DC, and that's what we're trying to do.
Very good, very good. And I do want to thank you amongst one of the members of your academic advisory panel is one of our history professors, Julio Capó. Thank you. Also, a quick shout out. As most of you might know, we host a good number of students a year, about 120, 130 interning. Last year, the book that we purchased for our interns was a book by Secretary Bunch of the, if you haven't read this is amazing. You've probably already poured through it. You'll have your own book that you can write about one day. But it's a great book that mixes the planning, the design, the fundraising, the policy aspects, the politics of building a museum. So thank you, Jorge.
Thank you.
Diane, Emerge Americas, 9 years and counting, I believe.
We'll celebrate our 10th year of an idea.
Okay.
In 2023.
Curious for the visitors today that Emerge Americas, what is it exactly? What does it mean for Miami and this tech movement that we're in the middle of?
Sure, Carlos. Thank you. Thank you for having us here this evening. Emerge Americas is a venture-backed platform that is wholly based in making Miami the tech hub for the Americas. Some of you may have heard just of our conference and trade show, which is truly our tentpole event. It'll be April 20th and 21st this year at the Miami Beach Convention Center. And we bring together almost 20,000 people across 2 days from 50 countries, over 4,000 unique organizations. And that really is our major convening. But what we pride ourselves on is really connecting the dots. We're bringing together enterprise, investors, students, our university partners like FIU, our other partners like the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau, and students, and just so many others to really press the message of tech in Miami and South Florida. Our founder, Manny Medina, actually began a tech company in Miami in 2001, to the great dismay of many, or to the great confusion of many. He would go to conferences or meetings, and people would go, "Why do you have a tech company in Miami?" And Manny, is an amazing man, in my personal opinion, is a visionary. And he said, "Miami's tech. You just watch it." And here we are 20 years later. He had an amazing exit from his company Terramark, but continued to ideate. The man, he should be retiring, but instead every day he comes up with a new idea. So about 10 years ago, he and his daughter said, we need to really foster technology in Miami. We need to foster talent in Miami. That was actually one of the greatest challenges at that time, was let's keep them here. So again, our relationships with our university partners and really stressing keeping talent in Miami. So here we are 10 years later. Emerge is the largest tech conference in the Southeast. In addition to that, we really work to have a year-round presence with startup pitch competitions, webinars. We have almost every other month happy hours, whether it's to recognize women in technology, Hispanic Heritage Month, Black History Month. We'll be kicking off a Pride event this year. So please let me know. I'm happy to share more about Emerge Americas.
Once again, quick commercial. Please interact with it later. Our Aquarius Reef Base, that is off the coast of the Florida Keys, has benefited from Mr. Medina and I guess his love of the oceans too, I would imagine.
He's still diving in his almost 70 years. So
there you
yes,
go. If we can go beyond Emerge just momentarily, Miami continues to grow as this hub. Any more insight as to what growth we're seeing now and in the next few years?
Sure, Carlos, this is hot off the presses, so I apologize. I did bring some notes
news.
because we're just, PitchBook has actually just released their VC numbers for 2022, and Emerge is pulling together our insights report. So, the Miami-Fort Lauderdale metro area logged in $5.5 billion in 2022 across 423 deals. This is up 1.5% in 1 year, and this is a new record for South Florida. And when you compare that to other major VC hubs in entrepreneurial areas who are dropping by anywhere from 25 to 40%. Wow, what an amazing statistic for Miami. So, we pride ourselves on being a part of that ecosystem. And, as we look at continuing to foster entrepreneurs, our startup showcase, and which we have a big hand when we're working with FIU in that, we're looking to really continue to push that deal flow, whether it's, again, bringing the investors, the VCs in, introducing them to startups and entrepreneurs. So when you're looking at Miami, it's not necessarily just the high rises and the continued growth in housing. It really is that growth from a business perspective and bringing the money into our city, which continues to help build it.
Wonderful. That's good. Thanks for the hot off the press news.
Sure.
Maria Ortiz Perez, Aspen, definitely a globally recognized brand. The Aspen Ideas Climate Conference, it will be in its second year. To kick it off, why Miami, and why does Aspen see that as the perfect location for such a gathering?
Thank you for having the Aspen Institute here. Carlos, and to your team for making this possible. I'm thrilled to be here with you all today and share with you about this Aspen Ideas Climate Art Conference. It's a very special conference to us. It's the first that we have on climate change specifically, and the reason why we chose to have it in Miami is because Miami and Miami Beach are many times considered in the US as ground zero for climate impact. So people in Miami every day experience sea level rise, the impact of sea level rise, changing weather conditions, stronger storms. I mean, if you only walk, you see the artwork when I was walking here, like there's a huge painting about the effects of a storm in Miami and how Miami is resilient and bounces back. So that's also a very inspiring history about Miami, like the innovation and how resilient it is. And I think that that is one of the big things that inspire the Aspen Institute to partner with the city of Miami Beach to have this conference there. The Aspen Ideas Climate really seeks to portray the spirit of Miami, the spirit of innovation and also resilience. And we feel very lucky that the community, businesses, and the government has really put together a collective effort to address this crisis. So it was just a natural partnership with us, and we're very, very lucky to have the conference. It started in 2022, and it's an annual conference. We will have the next one in about a month, from 6th to 9th of March, in the Convention Center and the New World Center. And we, last year, we attracted about 2,000 people who came from all walks of life, all ages, different sectors, to really not only think about climate change and get perhaps educated or inspired, but also to look for collaborations and to think about solutions. Like our focus is really to inspire people to see climate change through a solutions-based focus. So it's not a crisis. It's not a crisis that is not solvable. It's something that is solvable, but it's very urgent, and it needs really all of the partners and all of the actors of society to get on board and get to act. One of the things that really inspires us about Aspen Ideas Climate at the Aspen Institute is that we have a program called the Future Leaders. We have about 250 young people who are coming to Miami to be part of the conference as well, because it's really the youth is at the forefront of the fight against climate change. So we are very, very lucky to have the Future Leaders come to Miami. And I would say if you think about how the program of the conference evolves, we really focus on things that can be very relevant to Miami as well, and we seek to engage the community. So it's not a closed-door conference, but it really has, the traditional sessions inside of the convention center, it's a beautiful space, and we're going to have a tech expo, so people can bring the solutions, and the public of Miami Beach and Greater Miami can interact with this event that is happening. We're going to have a career fairs for all of those folks who are interested in joining the climate space and to see what opportunities are out there. And we also seek to have a lot of public events that involve arts, music, food, culture. So the community as a whole can participate in the conference as well. FIU has been a great partner with us. We last year we had a couple of tours that FIU helped organize for the participants, and this year those tours are also going to take place in the Biscayne Bay, and also the microgrid and the wind wall. So we're very, very excited to have that. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you might have about the conference, and I hope that you all get excited to join us next month in Miami.
A quick word about the Aspen Energy program overall, what nationally, what its aims and goals are, and
Sure. So the Aspen Institute, as you may know, has many different programs. The Energy and Environment program is one of them, and it is actually one of the oldest programs of the Institute. We've been bringing together people to talk about the most pressing issues on energy and environment for over 50 years. So we really have this privilege of have a long history of convening and putting forward or bringing together thinkers and doers
to discuss the most pressing issues in the U.S. and around the world. I would say that, at the Energy Environment Program, we believe that climate change is urgent, but it's also solvable, and it is a problem that requires really all hands on deck. So government, society, public sector, private sector, NGOs, really everybody. So it is our job at the Energy and Environment Program to convene people, organizations, and government to think together about taking greater action towards solving this common crisis. So that is our bread and butter, and as I said, very excited to be here and looking forward to engaging with you further.
Wonderful, and we'll open up for questions. We did want to give our audience a taste of when we think of the Everglades, when we think of the environment in South Florida, our one global treasure is the Everglades. We have a short video that touches on what we think is a great win-win success story, state, local, federal, Everglades restoration, and we'll cue that video real quickly now.
On a winter morning in South Florida, the sun rises over the Atlantic Ocean. It falls first on the beach hotels, then on the high-rises across Biscayne Bay in downtown Miami, and then spreads out over a broad swath of urban sprawl to fall on a much older landscape, the Everglades. Early Native American inhabitants of the Glades called this subtropical landscape Paheoki, or grassy water. It may look like an endless swamp, but the Everglades is actually a wide, slow-moving river of grass flowing from the Kissimmee River in the north to Florida Bay in the south. It is a mosaic of distinct ecosystems connected by flowing water. These ecosystems are the habitats and food webs for an array of endangered and threatened animals, such as the American alligator, manatee, and roseate spoonbill. They also provide environmental services to Florida residents. The water that percolates down through the peninsula's porous limestone replenishes the Biscayne Aquifer, which provides 9 million Floridians with fresh water. Mangrove forests in the southern end provide a buffer for coastal storms. Together with seagrass beds, they extract carbon out of the atmosphere and store it in the soil, mitigating the effects of climate change. And this also supports fisheries that drive Florida's recreation and tourism industries. Yet, more than a century of agriculture and development has diverted this historic flow of water and introduced nutrient pollutants into the ecosystem, threatening the fish, plants, birds, mammals, even the soil itself. Throughout the year, teams of students and scientists from Florida International University in Miami set out from FIU's main campus. These teams are part of the National Science Foundation's long-term ecological research program. This work is part of the decades-long Everglades Restoration Project, the largest ecosystem restoration project in the world, designed to put the Everglades habitats back in balance, accelerated now with historic financial support from Congress and the state of Florida. Student researchers at FIU help guide this multi-billion-dollar, multi-agency program.
Everglades restoration, to me, is such a pivotal project to the future of our state, to the future of our planet. We're really focusing a lot on climate change and the capacity of the Everglades to be a major carbon sink, meaning that it helps to keep carbon out of the atmosphere and hopefully helps to mitigate some of the worst impacts of climate change. But it can only do that if we're effectively conserving it and restoring it through the various projects under the Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan.
The Everglades is now about half its original size, but the problems it faces are only getting bigger.
We're detecting salinity in places where we've never detected salinity before. And those days with detectable salinity are increasing from a few days to multiple weeks to a month. That's pretty rapid change for an ecosystem.
It is in everyone's interest that the ecosystem bounces back from its many shocks, and that restoration succeeds so we can recover a healthy, thriving Everglades for plants, animals, and for humans.
Everglades restoration is arguably one of the, if not the most successful ecosystem scale restoration programs ever undertaken in the history of the planet. Collaboration has not only been key to the success, but it's been absolutely necessary from the very beginnings of the restoration program. And Florida International University has been at the center of that science since the very beginning.
Well, the eyes of the world are really on South Florida. Our students and scientists are working as hard as we can to ensure that the restoration project is as effective as possible for the Everglades, South Florida, and the world.
FIU was involved in producing that. Unlike Rolando's Bureau video, this was more Discovery Channel Frontline. Don't worry, we have some shots of. Hey, we have some shots of coffee, you know, because I was a little. But we have some jazzier videos coming up. Michael Cheng, the dean of our School of Hospitality Management, the Chaplin School. Obviously, we're Florida, we're Miami. Hospitality is front and center. Our sponsor would agree. How is FIU playing in that space and innovating?
Thank you, Carlos. When I think about a question and I go back to, you know, why is it that we do what we do? And really, at the end of the day, for me, is we add value. You know, like I think about during the pandemic, we were the first ones to come up with a relief fund, a $1.6 million fund that we dispersed to the local restaurateurs in the Tri-County area. That's before the PPP check came out. And then after that, in 2021, first ones to come back with a live event, you know, because we believe in our industry, we need to revive the hospitality and tourism industry in South Florida. So we came back that year with the South Beach Wine Food Festival, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about after this too. The other thing that we do too is, you know, our role as educators, we inspire and we train our students, you know, to be the future leaders of the hospitality industry. And we really believe in the experiential education. So we do a number of really unique things, like we have this class that's called Programming on Demand. It's a 1 credit hour class, but we add in content about 5-6 times a year that's current and that's relevant, lead steward certification. So it really does give them opportunities to experience what the industry is like. You know, we'll take them on field trips to Hawaii, to Aspen, to Texas, and then they even come here to DC and they've done stints to the White House before too. It's an amazing course that a lot of students take for credit. The other thing we do is a semester at sea. You know, and no other university is doing this. We have students, it's not quite a semester, it's about 2 weeks, 2 full weeks at sea, and they're taking classes anywhere from 3 to 6 credits. And you know, we have a group of faculty that goes along with them, and it's like 80 students each time we take them. We do that. Study abroad programs is the other one that we do. You know, so this year we're very excited about the new ones we're offering: South Africa, Genoa. I can't remember where, and Costa Rica as well. So a bunch of different countries that students are going to. I forget, what was the other question?
I think you did good. Well, you mentioned our role in Washington. Why is the Chaplin School, why is FIU from the Chaplin School's perspective active in this region?
Washington, as you all know, it's like the nation's capital, right? And so all the major associations are here. The Asian American Hotel Owners Association, same building upstairs, right? And then the National Restaurant Association Foundation, the American Hotel Lodging Association Foundation, and the headquarters are all here. And plus, on top of that, you have the Marriott headquarters is here, same with Hilton. So all the major companies are here. So we understand Washington definitely is a very, very hot spot for us.
There you go. Thank you very much. Rolando, we've heard from 3. Well, we'll come back on the... Actually, Dean, I'm sorry. South Beach Wine and Food Festival. We've kind of glossed around it. Those that may not have had the pleasure of being in Miami end of February, what's that all about?
So how many of you have been to the South Beach Wine Food Festival?
Raise your hands. Oh, we've got
some.
A lot of more tour
Not
packages
enough.
to sell.
We need more. So South Beach Wine Food Festival actually started on the campus of a Biscayne Bay campus back in 1997. We did it as a one-day event. It's called the Florida Extravaganza then. After 5 years, we decided to grow it. We needed to take it off campus to a much larger location, and South Beach was the natural choice. So now in its 22nd year, it's a 4-day event, about 65,000 guests over the 4 days. The most amazing thing is all the student volunteers that works the event are FIU students, all 1,200 of them. So it's hands-on experiential education for our students as well. And it's not all hospitality majors. We got business students, engineering, and they're all taking leadership roles. They come back year after year for that one. And we also get a contingent of students from abroad. So for the last 3 years, pre-pandemic, and then just resumed this year, is a group of students from Denmark. And it's amazing because they come here, they know it's the best wine and food festival on the planet, and they have to come. So there definitely are several events I will recommend. A lot of the on-the-beach events like Burger Bash, the Tacos and Tequila, the Sunday Brunch, those are all great events, but I'm going to give you guys a secret. So there's a code you can use to get 15% off.
Oh.
FIU promo 15. F capital, and then so FIU promo 15. So pick the event that you want, click on it, add to your cart, add in the code, 15% discount, just like that.
There you go. Rolando, these have been 3 major global convenings, festivals. Where does these type of events factor into the larger trends that we're seeing in?
Absolutely. I spoke earlier about people, places, and experiences, and we're not just there being a cheerleader. We're putting our money where our mouth is. We've been investing in these events since year one because we believe in what they stand for, not just because they make Miami, Greater Miami, a better place to live, work, and play. Because if you guys do that, then it's a better place to visit. So it makes my job a little bit easier. But the fact that we've got thought leadership in technology, obviously arts and culture with the great work that Jorge did, and now with Art Basel, which is headquartered in Miami, and now on arguably one of the most important challenges facing not just Miami, but the world, right? Sustainability and resiliency. And you've heard that word over and over again. Yes, my business is bringing people from elsewhere, a lot of them from the DC area, into Miami, but it's no longer about more tourists. It's about striking that balance between a successful and thriving tourism economy and resident quality of life. Resident quality of life is now our guiding principle, and we need to balance those two. And candidly, there are some times where things can get a little hectic in Miami because of tourism. We still believe strongly that tourism has significantly more upside than challenges, but it's a constant management of that, and that's why working closely with our local and city governments, great partners such as these, in making sure that we strike that balance. We will continue to, right now, we're preparing for World Cup 2026. Any football, soccer fans in the house? Any Argentinian fans in the house? All right. You know what? Any Brazilians? Okay. We do play an instrumental role in big events, and that's great. And as a lifelong resident, it's wonderful that I and my family can enjoy that. But visitors want to go where locals hang out, and locals want to go where they are enjoying a good quality of life, great experiences. The Everglades is actually one of our top attractions. So the work that's being done by FIU and others to bring that back to its original grandeur is critical to the success of tourism. So it's all interconnected, kind of like the Everglades. So, we're very, very proud to be a partner of FIU. Obviously, these amazing events, and anything we can do to further that mission is critically important. We went through the pandemic, as the dean was saying, from one moment to the other. Most of the hotels closed, most of the restaurants were closed, only doing takeout. We actually partnered with FIU. But business has come back, roaring back. 2022 is closing out to be a record year. But for us, record is not number of visitors. Record is the economic impact that tourism has on our residents and how it helps them save money through taxes that are collected. But successful tourism also presents other challenges. Even workforce, housing is an issue. So we will be at the table on every topic, not just tourism, not just the fun stuff, but some of the serious topics that need to be discussed, because if those don't get resolved, then we will no longer have that successful tourism that we've been blessed to have for so many years.
And you touched on, you're active and your team is active and you have a sales rep team out here. Why? What does this market represent for Miami business?
Well, the DC area, as the dean already alluded to, is home to many, many associations. So one of the things that I do is bring meetings and conventions, especially to that newly refurbished convention center that both of these events are blessed to call home. We spent $1 billion on the renovation of that convention center, not just for eMERGE and of course Aspen now, but we host 20, 30 different meetings and conventions. So we want to bring more associations to Miami. But we have also aligned our thinking that what are our community's priorities, and not just any convention. We want to bring conventions that align with some of these vertical markets and sectors that support our community's economic development priorities. Obviously, technology, fintech, arts and culture, huge priority, sustainability and resiliency. So we have people on our team that are aligned with those vertical markets, and then we have someone here in the DC area because, once again, a lot of those associations are based here. So it's a natural fit, and the fact that I can come hang out with Carlos and have some cortaditos at 305, that's another selling point too. Thank you for that.
And so that you all know, because you all are friends and family, or you've been invited by friends and family, this facility, this center is here for you. So many of you have already used this for sales meetings or gatherings or conferences. That is exactly what we want this to be here. So that you all know, that side of the room is used twice a week now for classes. So we're glad to be able to offer these hands-on opportunities for two of our academic cohorts here in the nation's capital. So that's amazing. I want to give the first chance to ask a question to a very special person, FIU's newly minted 6th president, Kenneth Jessel, who's had a busy day today visiting the Hill. But Dr. Jessel?
No, you have just taken 10 years off my chronological age, newly minted. So thank you very, very much. So I heard part of the conversations, and you touched upon the issues that are so important to us, not only in Miami, but also globally. But we're going to focus on Miami. So you've talked about things such as technology and health, workforce housing, art and culture that is so important to the mental health, as well as the visual aspects of those, business, hospitality management, and the like. Higher education is going to have to be part of the solution. And again, we're also interconnected in these areas. So how can we as higher education institutions, and in particular, how can FIU help more to solving these problems that we are facing and that you have so clearly articulated this evening?
Anyone want to take a first crack? Rolando?
Well, Well, it really builds upon some of the things I said earlier, and being at that table. I work, the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau. We're blessed, not just because we're in the tourism space, but we have access to resources. And I would argue that everything impacts tourism. We're kind of like, if you think of the Miami-Dade economy as a skyscraper, we're that first floor, we're that foundation that a lot of things have been built upon. So whether it's trade, whether it's finance, whether it's real estate, whether it's technology and conferences, I would submit to you that all those roots trace back to tourism. So because of that, we have a debt to our community to be involved, to be engaged. And sure, there are some specific interests that we have in fueling that economy, but the way to do that is to be at the table with FIU, with other educational institutions. I serve on multiple boards, both at the secondary level and even at the high school level. In fact, one of our greatest challenges, and FIU has been an amazing partner, but I think there's so much more that we can do, is workforce development. And I think I'm speaking for Dean Chang that we should be thinking about that pipeline and who are the tourism professionals of tomorrow, and how do we shift that, in my opinion, that misperception of what a hospitality career is or is not. The reality is that hospitality careers are like any other career. There's entry level, there's mid level, there's executives. But again, I would proudly say that hospitality is a career that offers the utmost in flexibility to many, especially based on the profile of the Miami experience that allows families like mine. My grandmother was a housekeeper at the Doral Hotel. My father parked cars at the Everglades in downtown. And because of that industry, that FIU plays such a proactive role. It gave my family the flexibility to put me through school and now be in front of speaking to you. So I've got professional debt and I've got personal debt I have to pay back. So I'm all yours.
Here's Maria or Diane, thoughts on that question?
Sure. Is this on?
Yep.
So that's a great question, and one of the things that we really think about at the Aspen Institute is how to integrate different actors to help us think about how to solve big issues such as climate change, right? And one of the big initiatives that we're really proud of is our, we call it This is Planet Ed, and it is a reflection on how the education sector can be an engine for climate action. We have partnered with multiple different institutions and also universities at the higher ed level, at the K-12 level, and also now for early education, and really engaging in this reflection on workforce training and what is needed for all of these green jobs that are going to start, for instance, and making this energy transition and this transition in different sectors a just transition, one that is inclusive and that really brings on board all of the people that might need retraining as well. So we're really excited to partner with higher ed institutions to really think about how we educate future generations, but also the current people who are the people who are currently in the workforce and that are going to need new skills.
Diane?
No, I would say I'll take the kind of the tech side of it, although I have to lean into hospitality as it's my own personal profession, managing events, and I come from a long line of hospitality. My family actually owned a hotel and a restaurant as a child, so a very kudos to those who choose that profession. But from a technology standpoint, I would thank FIU for their continued support of Emerge and fostering that entrepreneurship within the university system, giving them those materials to bring an idea to fruition, fostering that throughout the process, giving them the outlet to continue to develop it. So from that side of it, and I know that the university works closely, with Emerge on a volunteer side of things to let them see tech in action, as it were. So we applaud the university for that because it's the goal. I think we want to continue to grow South Florida, keep everyone home, as it were.
So, Jorge, I'm curious, we've heard a lot about the future. You started us thinking about the past, but what are your own reactions to what you've heard about where this amazing city is going?
Yeah, it's so encouraging when we look at what a model is for a new museum, right, in 10 and 15 years. It's completely different than it's been in the past. Just everything we've gone through in the past 2 or 3 years, technology, everything that's how we're evolving as people, how we consume, how we digest content. It's really dictated by you, right, by the audience. With your phone, with a computer, you decide what you want to see, how you want to see it. So these are all things that we're taking in, and Miami is kind of like the perfect city to model it after, just because of the way people consume content there. For so many years when we worked at the museum there, we depended on tourism, but at the same time, it's not like another city like in New York where you go to the museums first, or Paris or somewhere else, because we have incredible weather. I would go fishing, I would go sports. We have so many things to offer. We actually rely on rainy days for people to come into the museum. So we started saying, you know what? We got to change that model. People love going to events in South Florida. They love going to things, to openings, to parties, to happy hours. And we started modeling our events after that. Let's saying, what do people want to see? They can do this and they can do the other thing too. They can go during the day and enjoy the outdoors, and at night they can go to a happy hour event and then go to an opening and go to a dinner. And that's how we started forecasting, this is our outlook. This is how we engage with audience. It's going to completely change. So as we look at a national museum, how we do that, this is a perfect example of how you do it, because that model is kind of dead already, to tell you the truth. We're lucky here in DC that we have millions of people coming through to visit monuments and museums. What's that going to be in 10 years? You've seen already downtown DC how it's changed over the past 2 years with the pandemic, and the numbers are not returning to what they used to be. And that's because people are behaving differently, right?
Yep. Very good. We're going to open up in case any of you, I know that many of you out there are not shy. Any questions for any of our panelists and guests? No? I do want to give a shout out to the amazing Diana Beckman. You all are experiencing a mini Miami embassy, but Diana Beckman leads the Florida House in Washington, D.C. A great embassy for the only state embassy. Diana, do you want to touch on any items or?
Well, should I stand up?
Sure, why not? We might have a microphone.
Oh, you know me, I don't need a microphone. Carlos is very sweet. Being up here in Washington, D.C., we're a taste of home, just like FIU and D.C. is up here. And we do provide that opportunity for Floridians and Floridians at heart, because let's be honest, once you meet us or once you visit us, you're going to love us. You're going to love us. So in looking at Washington, D.C. is very different from Florida, and especially from Miami. But we want to make sure that there is a way that we can create this home away from home up here. And that's why these partnerships that we have with FIU and with these other organizations are so important. So I guess my question to you is a little bit of a takeoff from what President Jeffords, did I get it right?
Jessel.
That's okay. God, I'm working on this.
He's newly minted. It's okay.
Yeah. What President Jessel said, from a DC perspective, what are the things that we can do up here? What opportunities can we provide for y'all to be able to elevate Miami and Florida as a whole?
It's on our name badges. How can we collaborate?
How can we collaborate?
Teams, thoughts?
Well, again, I'm one of the least shy, but I'm gonna speak on behalf of my colleagues here. Is just make sure that you're advocating whenever possible, especially with those people that can make those decisions, on the resources needed to keep these amazing efforts alive and thriving. And whether it's FIU and their research, obviously investing on sustainability and resiliency, and we are the tip of the spear. We are the tip of the spear in Miami Beach. That infamous article in Rolling Stone magazine, remember that? Showing us underwater. And especially with what's happening with eMERGE. For us, we view eMERGE, PR is a big part of what I do, right? And our greatest, we don't talk about the beaches of Miami or the clubs. All of you know that. In fact, all of you are getting ready for Ultra Music Festival, right? In March? I see a lot of glow sticks out there. But I'm spending more time talking about our neighborhoods and the people that live there, and the ones that are going to be appreciating our arts, our culture, hopefully in our fintech ecosystem, and being at the forefront of these critical issues that will make Miami that future industry. So whether it's our Florida delegation, our Day delegation, we need to make sure that we're supporting that and getting the resources needed to keep their mission alive. Because if they're vibrant, then tourism is good. So hopefully I did you guys a little bit of justice.
Okay. Any other thoughts on that? What we can do here in DC? Diane, you're also based here and representing a Miami brand, so we're not the only ones.
Currently a Virginia resident, so yes, I miss this time of year. I do miss my Miami. I leave for Tampa in 2 weeks. In Miami, I will be at South Beach Food and Wine. It's an annual visit for me. So no, I think eMERGE's goal clearly with their partners is spreading the word. We are the largest conference in the Southeast. We would love to make that the East Coast, because again, it's spreading that message of what South Florida, Miami has done for the tech ecosystem, for entrepreneurs, and happy to provide you any items to help you spread that word.
Okay. I see one of our members of Congress, proud Frederica Wilson, has done so great for FIU and Miami. We're going to hear from our full delegation in another few minutes. But to wrap up this section of the program, I know Dean Michael Cheng, what the audience and our visitors will experience today is a bit of the Chaplin School and the South Beach Wine and Food Festival, what's in store, and I think you want to introduce someone special.
Thank you again. Again, like Carlos said, my name is Michael Cheng. I'm Dean for the Chaplin School of Hospitality and Tourism Management. And first, I want to recognize all of our FIU alumni, students, and supporters in the room. Thank you so much for coming out here tonight. But I especially want to spotlight our students, specifically those that you see behind the bars. So back there, we have Mike and Rowan. And I'm not sure who's out there on the other bars, but definitely those are our students. They're all members of the FIU Bacardi Center of Excellence at the Chaplin School, and also our student clubs. We have 3 student clubs that are very active: the Bartenders Guild, the Wine Guild, as well as the Coffee Guild. And you'll hear from one of them shortly, Rowan. But also, when you see him, our students, they are Mike, Zara, Ian, Amanda, and David, led by their amazing professor, Christina Mogul, who's also out there. And they're the ones who created the cocktail and the mocktail menu tonight. So let's give them a round of applause.
And I think we have one final video that our amazing tech assistant here will help us queue up.
While that's loading, and then I just want to briefly share about the Chaplain School. We're the second largest hospitality school in the country, and just like Miami, FIU hospitality is very diverse. In fact, we graduate the most Hispanic, Black, and African Americans with a degree in hospitality management in the whole country than any other school. And we're ranked today number 8 best hospitality school in the country and number 32 in the world, but we're on our way to being number 1. And that's because our students love our programs, and it's thanks to partners like Rolando with the Greater Miami Convention Visitors Bureau, Bacardi, thank you so much, and then Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits. And our students also get the hands-on experience from the South Beach Wine Food Festival. So I'm definitely happy to say tourism, travel, hospitality are back, like Rolando said, and our FIU students, they're definitely the future leaders of our industry. So speaking about future leaders, I want to introduce now one of our star students here. It's Rowan Jacobs in the back. So Rowan graduated last year with a bachelor's in hospitality management, and she's in our master's 4+1 program today. She's the recipient of the H.M. Burke Scholarship Award, the president of our student club, the Coffee Guild, and a graduate assistant in our Bacardi Center of Excellence, which is at our Biscayne Bay campus. So, Rowan, it's a pleasure to introduce you.
Rowan, what's in store for our guests tonight?
Well, we got a lot, but first I want to say thank you, Dean Cheng, and I'll be honest, I bleed blue and gold. I guess I was actually destined to attend FIU. You know, first time I technically set foot on the Modesto campus was the day I learned how to walk, because my dad's actually one of the founding professors from the psychology department here at FIU. So as you imagine, he's very proud that I'm here as a university student. As you can imagine, as a human growth and development teacher, I was brought in as the live baby prop quite frequently. But I'm truly honored to be here tonight, hosting you guys, helping to host you guys, and representing the Bacardi Center of Excellence, which is our dynamic educational partnership with an iconic Miami brand. Our program actually promotes, it's focused on beverages, spirits management, and is promoting innovation and entrepreneurship. Dean Cheng mentioned our student-run guilds. You guys are going to be able to experience both the bartender and the coffee guild tonight. Unfortunately, the wine guild's not here. They are holding the fort down back home, so they got a lot more work to do than we do, actually. Shameless plug, you have to try our Cup of Miami drink. It's actually a non-alcoholic drink, but it is a cold brew beverage that's actually inspired by an award-winning cocktail created by Mike here. And I know we mentioned the South Beach Wine and Food Festival. Now, for the past 2 years, our Bartenders Guild has actually won the People's Choice of the Art of Tiki event. So we've been very proud of that. This year, we'll be back at the South Beach Wine and Food Festival doing the Bacardi Carnival event on Sunday night. So we really hope that you guys have the opportunity to come and join us for that event. But in the meantime, we are going to have a beautiful video here, guys. It's a glimpse into how important our FIU students, our alumni, and our Miami community is in order to put on the South Beach Wine and Food Festival.
There you go. And we've also been joined by one of our newest congresswomen, Sheila Phyllis McCormick. Glad to have her in the South Florida delegation. We're still waiting for a few other members of our delegation, but I think we're going to cue the South Beach Wine and Food Festival video, and I think we'll be about 5 or 10 minutes. But before we do, actually, I do want to give a special shout out because she was the first here tonight. Congresswoman Frederica Wilson has really gone above and beyond in her time in Congress and really keeping FIU front and center in her priorities. In advance of our formal program, special shout out for what she has delivered for our Biscayne Bay campus, which is where the School of Hospitality Management is also based. But thanks to her leadership, we are going to have, I'm going to collide both Maria and Diane. We're going to have an amazing environmental robotics facility on the Biscayne Bay campus in her district that will bring in the best of our environmental scientists, the best of our robotics engineers to really build a signature facility there, and especially provide a great pipeline for our K-12 STEM community, which we have elementary school there, middle school. But thank you so much. We'll cue the video now, and then I think we'll need a few more minutes.
This would not happen if it wasn't for the FIU students.
Any live event experience when you got timeline and time sensitive and it's now, like this is great experience for you all for life.
What does it mean to run a world-renowned wine and food festival on the sands of South Beach? means organizing 1,200 FIU student volunteers to run amazing events all over Miami Beach.
It means supporting my alma mater while partnering with some of the greatest chefs and restaurant groups in the country.
It means work hard, play hard, eat, drink, educate, and last but not least, go Panthers.
Thank you, FIU students, for making this festival happen. It's been a lot of fun.
This is Dwayne Way. I just want to send a lot of love and a lot of patience to all the volunteers. Thank you guys for giving up your time.
Neil Patchkaris here. I'm with David Burtka.
Yo, what up? Happy Drag Brunch.
I just want to say thank you so much to all the hospitality people, for everyone at FIU, for all that you do.
Jeff Tita here. Thanks so much for all you do for the festival. Your future is limitless, and it's because of FIU. See you later.
All right. Well, there you go. I think we're going to wait a few more minutes for our other members of Congress, but welcome to Miami and D.C. Thank you.
Excellent, man. Gracias.
Good.
It was really cold. That was like, oh my god. I was looking at your scarf and I'm like, I wish I had a scarf.
Yeah, I know.
Good move.
Where's our Mario? Where's our Debbie?
Oh, we had language in December in the omnibus bill, and they put the last minute. So we're waiting for legislative fix. Hopefully soon.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So we'll get. Let us know. Can I do something?
I will.
Is no work.
Hi, how are you?
I'm Emma.
Good to meet you, Emma. How are you? Good to see you again.
So Kate is now transitioned into working on programs.
Oh, cool.
And so if there's, as you're building your collection, what could be interesting is if you ever need, I mean, I know you've got space over at American History.
A little bit of space, not much. We're trying to build new space.
Yeah.
For storage. Yeah. Ah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, we like to take the programming out to the community because not everybody wants to go to the museum alone. They want to try different neighborhoods. They want to, yeah.
Exactly. And Emma is going to be starting with us doing events.
Oh, great. Congrats.
So if there's something that we can do, and I'm going to give you my card again because I'm going to make you take it.
Good evening. Good evening. When hurricane winds. Perfect. No, you're good. Perfect. Okay. Good evening, all. When hurricane winds reach 185 miles per hour, isn't it time for a wake-up call? Can we halt neurodegenerative diseases before it's too late? When the world can change in seconds, shouldn't our defenses be stronger and customizable in quick time? These are some questions that Miami's Public Research University takes pride in tackling day in and day out. And thanks to many of you in this room, FIU is able to collaborate with our federal partners to make an impact. My name is Naila Alcocer, and I am a Hamilton Scholar studying sustainability in the environment while interning for Congresswoman Kathy Castor. On behalf of FIU students, 56,000 in Miami, and those of us studying and interning in the nation's capital, we thank you for joining us today. To get us started, I am pleased to introduce Carlos Becerra, Associate Vice President of Governmental Relations.
Thank you, Naila. Future Congresswoman, of course, Alcocer. Is Miami in the house? Is FIU in the house? Well, thank you all. As Naila said, we're glad to have so many friends and family here in reality. On behalf of Miami's Public Research University, welcome. Welcome tonight, a special night to celebrate not only our hometown, as we were doing in the last hour, but many of our congresspersons that really help bring home some big wins for Miami and for FIU. I do want to take some time to recognize those congresspersons that are here. Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart, Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Congresswoman Frederica Wilson, soon to arrive, Congressman Carlos Jimenez. We were joined earlier by Congresswoman Sheila Sherfilis McCormick, and Congressman Jared Moskowitz, who are the newest on the scene. When we total the number of Panthers in each one of these districts, we're at 200,000. By the way, folks, that's about 2/3 of our entire population. This is definitely the Panther caucus, we can say. Tonight, and I see so many of you out here in the room, and it would take us too long to recognize so many of the congressional staffers, previous staffers, current staffers, because as this trio knows, it is our staffers, and so many of you are alumni staffers, and that gives us pride and joy that help get the job done. And we thank you from the bottom of our heart, not only for helping advance our priorities, but for opening the doors for our own students like Nyla to intern on the Hill, and there's so many of us. We've got, that we know of, 8 offices covered, I believe, this semester, so that's amazing, and that gives them transformative experience. I do see 3 of our 5 alumni chiefs of staff: Cesar Gonzalez, Congressman Diaz-Balart's office; Jean Rosemay with Congresswoman Wilson's office; Gabriela Boffelli, Congresswoman Jennifer Gonzalez-Colon. So we're proud of this. We've maintained a nice number of 5 for about the last 5 years. We continue to hope to get it creeping up. Is Agnes Schaefer in the room? I saw her earlier. Agnes? Dr. Agnes Schaefer. This is a point of pride. Recently confirmed by the Senate, Assistant Secretary of the Army for Manpower and Reserve Affairs. Proud FIU alumna. Was just telling us, in particular, being proud of graduating from FIU. Met her husband about 30-some years ago, but who's counting? So I do want to give a special shout out to our sponsors tonight: Rolando Aero with the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau. Matt Monica of the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce is here. Kirsten Bodestad with Bacardi. And as you all have experienced a bit of the South Beach Wine and Food Festival in advance, thanks to the Chaplin School of Hospitality and Management. Diana Beckman of the Florida House, also a force of nature here in the nation's capital. So it gives me to get going with our program. I do want to introduce our Vice President for Strategic Communications, Government and External Affairs, Michelle Palacio.
Thank you, Carlos. So many familiar faces. Go Panthers. As you know, it has been 50 years since FIU opened its doors in 1972. Today, FIU is the nation's fastest rising university in public rankings. Come on. We're making a real impact in delivering educational excellence and, of course, social mobility. Locally, as we partner with local and state government and on our communities' challenges, but also harness opportunities for our hometown. And last but not least, in Washington, D.C. and across the world, our talent is making an impact. But that research impact would not be possible without the growth and support of our federal partnerships. And that growth is made possible by so many in this room today. Tonight is a night for all of us to take pride in what is possible when our faculty and students collaborate with our members of Congress and federal agencies to bring home some big wins for Florida and Miami. But tonight's pride goes beyond a dollar figure. Although we are very pleased with the overall impact of your efforts in the last 2 years, $30 million in community funding projects, ranking FIU 9th among universities in the entire country. And there's more. Another $40 million in key plus-ups that we know will impact our researchers long-term. Tonight's pride is the trust that this delegation has for FIU and how that trust translates into greater impact for our hometown, our state, and the greater good. It is also very special that this delegation that has been supporting FIU since their days in state and local office, FIU is honored to be your partner. And as we welcome new members of Congress tonight, we look forward to continuing to bring home some wins. And now it is my honor to introduce FIU's 6th president, Kenneth A. Jessel.
Thank you very much, Michelle.
Good evening, Panthers. On behalf of our trustees, our faculty, our 56,000 current students, and our almost 300,000 alums, it is my pleasure and great honor to welcome you to our FIU at DC facility. This is an amazing campus, and as I mentioned at our ribbon cutting, we want this to be your home away from home. And I would like to especially welcome our newest members of the 118th Congress to FIU and to your proud Panther family. Carlos had mentioned in his earlier comments about all of the internships that our congressional delegation provides to our students. And many of our students that are here tonight, as well as many others who were previous interns, have come back to say, what an amazing experience. Carlos used the words transformational, and it is indeed a transformational experience for those students. So thank you very much for opening the doors to our students and helping them in their career objectives. Michelle, I'm pretty impressed with your numbers. As everyone knows, my background is finance. I was a former CFO. I am a numbers guy. And when I have to say that when I hear about these great numbers that our FIU delegation has secured for us, I am truly blown away. You are absolutely amazing in your forward thinking, in how you want to serve our communities, and how you understand that FIU can be a major solution center to the things that are very, very important to you, our state, our community, and this nation. It is truly amazing what we have been able to achieve together and because of your leadership. And I understand that there is so much that is a delegation initiative, not just one, but you can't do it without working together. You can't do it without working across the hall with each other to make these things happen. So thank you very much for not only your individual work, but how you quarterback as a delegation for all of us in our communities. Because of your hard work, in the last Congress, we have been able to continue work in key areas that impact our economy and our environment. And please give me the pleasure of mentioning just a few of them and to give a personal shout out. We will have greater tools for monitoring the health of our coast through a pilot study of saltwater intrusion spearheaded by Congresswoman Wasserman Schultz. And more water quality testing in Biscayne Bay spearheaded by Congresswoman Salazar. 2 years of increases for the South Florida program at the Environmental Protection Agency. Instrumentation for our beloved Medina Aquarius Reef Base spearheaded by Congressman Diaz-Balart and Jimenez. And an environmental robotics lab spearheaded by Congresswoman Wilson, which will also increase STEM education opportunities at our Biscayne Bay campus that Carlos mentioned earlier. And Congresswoman, just as a point of personal pride, because I was at your breakfast a few weeks ago, the 5,000 role models, and for how many years you have been supporting those students and how you value education. Thank you very much for your advocacy of those students and helping us make them a success story. And you brought out a few in your comments about so-and-so not being such a good person early on, and now look at them as leaders today. Do you remember that comment? I'm not going to mention who it was, because I'm sure it's a violation of federal law for me to disclose that. But thank you so much for all the things that you do. And Congressman Jimenez, we are part of your district, as you know, and that's why sometimes we refer to FIU as Carlos Jimenez University, because you are a big champion of our university in your community and the people that you serve. In the area of population health, we will soon begin phase 1 of a PET cyclotron scanner facility, thanks to the support of both Congresswoman Wasserman Schultz and Congressman Jimenez. Our collaboration with the Defense Department is now reaching new heights. Years back, Congressman Diaz-Balart helped launch our Transforming Antennas Center. And this is an amazing project that helps the Air Force and the Army on antennas, as well as additive manufacturing technologies, thanks to the entire delegation's support of our Cold Spray facility. And our Security Research Hub, which supports Southcom in studies of bad actors in the region, has received a boost thanks to Congresswoman Salazar. And finally, FIU will reinforce its support of our city's small businesses with over $1 million for small business and technology training sponsored by Congresswoman Salazar. As you can see, with your help, with your advocacy and your support, FIU is driving excellence, innovation, and research across the state and throughout the world to solve the problems facing society. Our students and nearly 300,000 alumni, including many, if not most of you here today, are leading the transformational change, and this would not be possible with the support of all of you that are joining us this evening in your advocacy of our great institution. We thank you for always championing our university as we continue to move forward thinking, innovative, and unstoppable initiatives. And we also thank you for your service to our state and our nation. We are proud to have you and all those who support you as our representatives. We could not ask for a better, stronger, more forward-thinking delegation than we have with you. So may you serve for many, many years. And thank you. Oh, sure. Already 30.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Good. You want a picture?
Yeah,
Let's go to the camera here.
Do we want to do this in front of the podium? Yes.
There you go. Can't hold the stomach in this long, guys.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Welcome back.
Any few? Did anyone want to say a few words to wrap it up?
Sure. Let's go. Let's go. What, are you kidding?
Right.
Carlos just asked, does anybody want to say a few words? We have a hostage audience. Of course we want to say something. So I will be relatively brief. No, look, my staff, by the way, out of which I have how many FIU alums in my staff, in my team? 8 FIU alums. Madam Secretary, great to have you here. I do want to say, you know, when I speak, I always thank a group of people that are not here. And I do this every time. People that are not in the celebrations and not in the fun things. But through a person who I've gotten to know now, he's my military fellow in the office. Where are you, Jason? Is he still here? I always start by thanking the men and women in the United States Armed Forces for keeping us free. So thank you. Mr. President, I don't have to tell you, but, you know, Michelle and Carlos, these are forces of nature. And you gave a lot of thanks, but we need to thank them. Carlos, you're amazing, and Michelle. And look, this is a long-standing treasured relationship. You already heard about. I'm not going to go through the details, but I want to tell you we are proud to have FIU in our community. And I don't want to date myself, but many years ago. No, Debbie, I'm not going to mention it. Yeah, right. No, but when, you know, all those battles when FIU didn't have a professional college, a school, remember? No medical school, no architectural school, no school of law. A lot of us said, you know, you can't be a first-rate community. And Miami's such a great place without a first-rate public research institution. But my God, look what FIU has become, right? Yeah. So it is a privilege to represent FIU. It is great to have this embassy of FIU in DC, and we look forward to continuing working with you for all the great folks, because it's all about the students, right? It's all about the students. Thank you. It is a privilege, it's an honor, and it's also, I will tell you, a joy. Not always, but mostly a joy, working with a group of colleagues in the congressional delegations. And while we have differences and we debate, we actually get along. We work together. We debate sometimes, but we work together. We conspire together for things that are important for Florida, for our community. And one of those, obviously, is FIU. Go Panthers!
Thank you so much, Mario. First of all, pause up. Go Panthers. I can say that even though I'm in my heart a Florida Gator, but when you represent, listen, I can never, I always have, I'm sorry, right?
Nobody's perfect.
Right. Hey.
UF, but our heart is really
yeah, right, exactly. The children are there, so that's a big part of it. But I want to stress a couple of other things, so rather than repeat what Mario said. First of all, Saskia Cabral, my digital director, FIU alum, had an opportunity to be in the meeting with the president and vice president today, and Carlos, and she just expressed what I think is so important, is the opportunities that students at FIU have to go, in many cases, like Saskia did, from coming to this country at 14 years old, speaking absolutely no English, to graduating from FIU, debt-free, and on her way to, and now continuing to progress in her remarkable career, working for a member of the United States House of Representatives. I mean, you create only in America stories. You really do. And I'll tell you, a little sad, because this is the first term that I will no longer represent constituents in Miami-Dade County. But even though that's the case, the credit that FIU gets for being a truly regional university. I mean, some of these places that are scrolling behind us on the video are in my actual district in Broward County. And there are regional centers, small and large. And so this is a university and an institution that we're so proud of, that not only is the fastest rising academic institution, but also has, just rocketed in so many different academic areas. I was saying to the president and Michelle earlier today, some of us can remember all the way back to when FIU was a little commuter institution that didn't even have freshmen and sophomores. Talk about dating us.
I wasn't born then.
No, right. And Frederica could tell you probably even more stories, because she has been here, since before I even lived in Florida. And to have an internationally renowned research institution based in South Florida that is producing the kind of graduates and experts that we're deploying all over the world, it is a remarkable academic story. And we are so proud to bring home resources for you to make sure that we can just tell the FIU story everywhere we go, and just continue to go from strength to strength, and we will help you continue to achieve even greater things. Thank you so much.
Well, certainly is a great pleasure for me to be here. And like my colleague Debbie, I am not a graduate of FIU, but I'm not a Gator, okay? But one thing better, though, I am married. My beautiful wife, Lourdes, is here. She's a distinguished alumni from FIU. And also, she opened the school at FIU at Carlos Finlay. So we have a lot of ties to FIU. Oh, well, very good. So there, I'm almost a Panther, okay? All right. So I'm an honorary Panther. But people have really talked about, colleagues have talked about this theme and what FIU, how it started. And you can almost make the correlation of the growth, the unbelievable growth of Miami-Dade County and the growth of FIU. It's a symbiotic relationship, and so I don't know which one comes first, FIU and then Miami-Dade, or Miami-Dade and FIU, whichever. It doesn't matter, because both of them, because of FIU, Miami-Dade has seen such great growth. Because of Miami-Dade, FIU has seen this great growth. And it's just going to continue to, get better and better. I say all the time that by the end of this century, or maybe even sooner, when you talk about the 3 great cities of the United States, you'll say New York, LA, Miami. And believe me, Miami. New York looks to Europe. LA looks towards the east. And Miami looks, towards the south, towards South America and Central America. We are the capital of Latin America, and this in this college, is this university, is the most important, probably, university in Latin America, because it ties us all together. And so I'm extremely proud that the main campus of FIU lies in Florida District 28, which is my district, so I represent you. But I'm also very proud to be joined by my colleagues, both Republican and Democrat, in that we all have the same vision, that what we want for FIU, and when we want for our children and our grandchildren, education that we want them to have in Miami-Dade, so that they can, and also the opportunities that they can have in Miami-Dade, so that they can get educated in Miami-Dade, actually live in Miami-Dade, so we can keep our families together, which is something that, for me is extremely important. Somebody who has children, and also, more importantly, grandchildren. All right? And so, again, thank you for having this for us, and know that your delegation on both sides, we may not agree on some things, but we definitely agree on FIU. So go Panthers. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
We definitely agree on FIU. This is truly amazing. And I am just so pleased to be here this evening, and I'm looking around and already planning what I'm going to have here, what I'm going to host here. All of my relatives and people, all of my 5,000 role model boys coming up. I'm going to take them through and have events. So Debbie is correct. I remember when there was no FIU. And I saw FIU grow into this huge, humongous, wonderful institution. And I am so proud to be connected to FIU. I love FIU. And I love it for so many reasons, but the main reason, not only are my boys there wearing their red ties and showing off and running the campus, in 2011, you sent me an intern, and that intern stayed with me until today, and he is my chief of staff. Come up, Gene. Gene Rosenberg. Come up, Gene. Now that's what you call success and mentorship. He was a little boy at FIU, a little boy at FIU. He came to me, and we put him to monitor transportation, and of course I chair higher ed. Well, I used to chair it until they took it from me. Now I'm so he mastered.
We're sorry about that.
So he mastered all of this, and this is what FIU produces. Thank you for Gene. Thank you, all of you, for Gene. Thank you for all of the students that you turn out. Thank you.
Thank you very much.